25 years ago, the World of Outlaws invaded the Knoxville Raceway for their annual sprint opener. 52 Outlaw cars filled the pit area. Leading the way for the Outlaws, Dave Blaney. He had 12 wins on his way to the 1995 Outlaw Championship. He won his first one this season a few weeks earlier in a barn burner in Benton, Missouri. Steve Kinser had 18 wins in the 1995 campaign and was ninth in points as he split time in NASCAR. The 14-time champion had 4 wins to this point, 2 in St. Augustine, Florida, and 1 each at Devil's Bowl and Battleground in Texas. The point leader, Mark Kinser, had 2 wins coming into Knoxville. He triumphed at St. Augustine and Memphis. Andy Hillenberg of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, finished 5th in the points in 1995 and had 1 win at Devil's Bowl a few weeks prior. 2-time champion and back in his own car, Sammy Swindell of Cordova, Tennessee scored a win at Eldora at the beginning of the month. Memphis, Tennessee resident Jeff Swindell scored wins at Oklahoma City and at West Plains, Missouri the previous weekend. Other drivers on hand, Brian Paulus of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. 1991 Rookie of the Year Jimmy Carr of Maple Ridge, British Columbia, Canada. Rookie of the Year contender, Lance Blevins of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. New Oxford, Pennsylvania Stevie Smith, who finished 3rd in points the previous season. 1989 Rookie of the Year, Joe Gertie of Rochester, Indiana. Runner-up in the points chase in 95 was the Wild Child, Jack Hodenschild. Jack scored a win in Pike County, Mississippi a month earlier. Greg Hodnett from Memphis, Tennessee, who chalked up his first Outlaw win the previous season. National Sprint Car Hall of Famer Doug Clark and Outlaw official Bobby Jackson bark out the do's and don'ts to the over 80 chauffeurs in the drivers' meeting. Along with the Outlaws are the regular Knoxville 360 drivers. Do you recognize anyone?
Here, but the guy on the pole jumps twice. You guys better get together because you're a unit. Front row together to the white line. On the restarts, if you're laying back, especially like in the feature last night, we had a lot of lap cars between 4th place and 5th.
Friday night's prelim event saw Steve Kinser lose a left side wing panel in his heat race. Driving an ill-handling race car, the King still held on to a transfer spot and would go on to win the dash. Whose wall is that hanging on now? More heat race action. The front row of Bob Weave and Pat Moore make contact. Both drivers were okay, but that could have been a lot worse. The start of the 20-lap A-Main saw the Cousin Kinsers sharing the front row.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are World of Outlaw A-Main Racing! And take a look right off the bat, the high line, the place to be, as Mark Kinser guides the Working American car into the number 1 spot. Steve Kinser falls into the number 2 spot, followed by Dave Blaney and Joe Gertie. But here comes Johnny Herrera. He was in the B feature, ladies and gentlemen, and already he's in the 5th spot.
Mark would open up a straightaway lead over Steve.
Mark Kinser like a hot knife through butter, slicing and dicing through lap traffic. He's got a half a straightaway advantage on the Quaker State number 11 car as Dave Blaney begins to close in on Steve Kinser.
4 laps down, and Dave Blaney was challenging Steve Kinser for 2nd.
As Steve Kinser fights to hold on to the number 2 spot, Blaney now working the top side as Kinser slides to the bottom. Kinser slams the door on Donnie Schatz, the 2 get crossed up. Donnie Schatz gets crossed up a little bit. Now it's Dave Blaney to the bottom side. Dave Blaney working to the bottom side. Not this time.
A heated battle for 5th between the white 51 of Terry McCarl and the yellow 22 of Jack Hodenschild ensued.
Pennzoil 22 of Jack Hodenschild. Now to the inside of Terry McCarl and to the tail of Joe Gertie in the 3G car. McCarl, though, right back on the bottom side. McCarl now is Hodenschild taps the wall. McCarl takes the high side as they race side by side. but here comes Jack Howdenshall to the inside of Terry McCarroll. Right now the 22 is scored in the number 7 spot. It's Mark Kinzer, Steve Kinzer, Dave Blaney. Johnny Herrera runs 4th, Joe Gertie 5th, Terry McCarroll 6th, Jack Howdenshall 7th.
Lap 15, and Blaney was poised to take the silver spot from King Kinzer.
Dave Blaney now works to the bottom side of Steve Kinzer. This is the battle for second. Dave Blaney takes the number 2 spot away from the Quakers Nate King. Dave Blaney in the Vibrant 10 car now running in the number 2 spot. What a run for Dave Blaney in the Vibrant 10.
With 3 laps to go, Troy Parsons' engine would expire.
Troy Parsons, though, in the front stretch, the 57C lets go and catches fire. Troy Parsons, a bad break.
Mark Kinzer was never headed and sails to the $4,000 payday.
Off turn 4, this time by the Working American car, completes the race. 20 laps the distance. He is your World of Outlaw A feature winner.
Mark talked about his victory.
The car's just working real good. Knoxville is one of the few places that we can come from the shop, unload the car, and pretty well be ready to go. Carl Kinzer, my father, and mechanics probably won more races here than anybody, and it makes it a lot easier on me.
Lap traffic really didn't seem to pose any problems either tonight.
I tell you what, we got the cars and we could just go by them at ease. You get some of those nights, it's just like the water parts in front of you, and it's just one of those real good fun nights.
Looked like maybe the High Line was the place to run tonight. However, you started on the bottom. You got a good bite down there.
Yeah, everything went pretty good right from the start, and Steve went with us through the first turn, and I felt that we yarded him pretty good right there off the bat, and of course Dave Blaney and the rest of them coming. It's just you never know who to worry about.